The old bell above the bookshop's door chimed with a soft, familiar cheer as Elena locked up for the night. Dew glistened on the glass, reflecting the warm glow from within, while the hush of the coastal breeze whispered through the narrow streets outside. Books were more than her livelihood. They were her shelter, her companions. She'd tucked herself away in this sleepy town of Crescent Bay for 2 quiet years, determined never again to let her heart wander into reckless territory. Tonight, as Elena wandered the aisles, checking for stray mugs and forgotten bookmarks, something caught her eye, a slip of pale blue paper peeking from between the battered spines of Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. Frowning, she pulled out the note, curiosity mingling with caution. It read, "Hearts are like tides, pulled and shaped by moons we cannot see. I wonder, do you let your heart drift, Elena?" Her heart skipped. She glanced across the shop, momentarily imagining a stranger lurking in the shadows. But the room was empty, except for the Leonard Cohen vinyl spinning gently behind a counter. That someone had used her name sent a shiver up her arms. She pressed the letter close, brushing her thumb over the elegant, careful script. Back at home, the letter perched on her nightstand. She stared at it, her mind racing. Who could have left it? Someone who knew her, or perhaps someone who only wished to? At dawn, fatigue from lost sleep was no match for her curiosity. She slipped the letter into her journal and hurried to open up the shop. The salty morning air rushed in behind her first customer, a man she'd never seen. He wore a faded leather jacket, a guitar case slung across his back, a tragic handsomeness softening the exhaustion in his eyes. "Morning," he murmured, voice a gravelly echo from some distant stage. "Do you have anything by Neruda?" She led him to poetry, her hands trembling just a whisper. "Are you new in town?" His lips quirked, a half smile. "Just passing through. Or maybe staying. Hard to say." As she rang up his book, their fingers brushed. Something electric flickered in the contact, unspoken question, hanging as suspended as the letter waiting in her journal. That night, as the waves crashed against the rocky shore, Elena found another letter slipped inside Jane Eyre. The shop was still, her heart a storm. She read, "To find the courage to love again is to stare into the dark and trust that the moon will rise. Will you?" The letter's words burrowed into Elena's thoughts as she locked up for the night. She traced the graceful script, secretly savoring the thrill, some mix of hope and old fears. Sleep would not find her, not while her heart drummed restlessly. Morning brought storm clouds and few visitors. The tinkling bell cut through the gray, pulling Elena from the stupor of a half-read novel. It was the newcomer again, Luca. Drops of rain clung to his dark curls. Guitar case slung carelessly at his side. "Back so soon?" she asked, attempting a casual tone. Any pretense of indifference dissolved when he smiled, a fleeting thing edged with sadness. "Poetry makes for poor sleep," he replied. "Mind if I browse?" "Of course. Take your time." As Luca drifted through the rows, Elena's gaze found him again and again. He wasn't like the usual summer tourists. Too quiet, too haunted around the eyes. She wondered what kind of heartbreak he carried in that battered guitar case. Her thoughts scattered when Mrs. Beasley from the bakery stopped in, handing Elena a cinnamon roll. "You look like you could use some sweetness," she winked. Elena managed to smile, but her mind wandered to the letter in her pocket, to Luca 7 aisles down, to the steady rain painting the window. Later, as she shelved a book, something soft rustled behind her. The faintest brush of footsteps. She turned, catching Luca lingering by the counter, staring at a postcard taped to the register, a faded image of the moonlit beach. "Do you go there often?" he asked, voice gentle. "Sometimes, when I can't sleep. The sea sorts out thoughts I can't untangle." He nodded, as if that answer explained everything. "I might try that. Thanks." Their eyes met for a moment longer, and then Luca was gone, the bell echoing his departure. As dusk crept in, Elena tidied the post section and nearly missed it. A new letter slipped behind the raven. "You're not alone in your sleeplessness. Maybe we're both waiting for the tides to change." Elena pressed the note to her chest, the storm within her softening. Someone, her mysterious admirer, knew her longing, understood her loneliness. For the first time in years, anticipation threaded her thoughts instead of dread. Somewhere out there, someone was waiting too. A golden shaft of morning sunlight streamed across the floorboards of Crescent Bay books, catching dust motes in its glow. Yet Elena woke that morning, heavy with questions and a hint of hope. Could it all be connected? The letters, her new customer, the restless hush of her own heart? She arrived at the shop even earlier, a ritual now, a secret search to see if another note had appeared overnight. But the shelves were as she'd left them. Disappointed, yet relieved, she tucked a wisp of hair behind her ear and began her day. Business trickled by with the drizzle outside. Luca's absence made the hours stretch. She missed his quiet presence, the gentle reverence with which he handled her books. Each customer was greeted with politeness, but Elena's mind drifted. Sometimes to the mysterious script, sometimes to Luca's tired smile. Just before noon, the bell chimed, and there he was, Luca, shoulders dusted with raindrops, small paper bag in hand. He gave her a quick, sheepish grin. "I brought you something," he said, sliding the bag across the counter. Inside, 2 steaming croissants and a small packet of raspberry jam. Elena laughed, surprised. "Bribery for first dibs at the new arrivals?" He shook his head. "Just figured you could use breakfast. And company." She studied him, then nodded towards the armchair by the window. "Let's eat then." They sat close, the air between them softening by the minute. "Why books?" Luca asked, tearing his croissant. "You could be anywhere." Elena's gaze dropped to her hands. "Books are safe. They ask nothing but your time. People? That's riskier." "That's honest," he whispered. A flicker of understanding moved behind his eyes. "Safer isn't always better, though. Running taught me that." She met his eyes, searching for what he wasn't saying. Before either could speak, Mrs. Beasley's laughter pealed from the street, and Luca's posture tensed. Elena wanted to reach out, to tell him he didn't have to run. Not here. But she hesitated. Later, when the shop was quiet again, Elena wandered to the classic literature section, and her heart leapt. A new moon-blue letter tucked into Persuasion. "My favorite book is one I'm afraid to finish. It holds hope I'm not ready to lose. Do you ever start something just to keep it close, Elena?" She read the words again and again. Another fragment, another secret shared. As dusk faded, Elena realized the letters and Luca were gradually dismantling the walls she'd built. She was still afraid, but something wondrous was beginning. The slow, shimmering possibility of letting someone in. The following week swept through like a restless tide. Elena found herself expectant at every sunrise, her senses stretched between the bookshop shelves and the possibility of another letter, or a surprise visit from Luca. He appeared almost daily now, sometimes chatting softly with a regular, or pausing to strum a few quiet notes on his guitar beneath the window. Slowly, shy laughter began to replace the echo of loneliness in the shop. One misty afternoon, Luca lingered as Elena stacked a shipment of new books on the counter. They spoke easily about favorite stories and rainy day music. Yet always, hovering between them, was the question neither dared voice. Finally, gathering her courage, Elena nodded at his guitar case. "I've never heard you play," she said, voice light but hopeful. Luca hesitated, tension in his hands, as he ran his thumb along the worn leather. "It's been a while since I played for anyone." Elena smiled gently. "Then maybe you could play for the books. They won't judge, I promise." His laughter broke the tension. With a soft strum and a deep breath, he played, quietly at first, then rising, the melody filling every corner of the small shop. For a moment, the walls around her heart dissolved. It was beautiful, raw, and vulnerable. When the final note faded, silence settled like a shared secret. Luca tucked his guitar away, eyes searching hers. "Why did you run from the stage?" she finally asked. He stared at the rain-streaked window. "I lost someone. My music felt hollow after that. This place, this quiet, maybe it's the first time I've started to feel whole again." The air brimmed with truth. Elena reached across the counter, letting her fingers brush his. He squeezed gently, their fear and hope woven together in that moment. As dusk crept in and Luca left, Elena braced herself for disappointment, believing the magic of the day had spent itself. But in the poetry section, between two slim volumes of Neruda, she found another note. "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to love despite it." "Do you still believe in second chances, Elena?" Under the lamp's warm glow, Elena realized she wanted to answer yes. The letters were giving her a hope she hadn't felt in years, and maybe, just maybe, she was ready to reply. That night, Elena sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by the soft flicker of candlelight and the comfort of her collected letters. Each one was lovingly pressed inside her journal, like hopeful petals plucked and preserved. A pencil trembled in her hand as she toyed with the idea of replying, finally overcoming the fear of stepping into the dance her mysterious admirer had begun. She chose her words with care, heart pounding. "I do believe in second chances, most days. Maybe some stories are meant to be rewritten, if only we're brave enough to try." Signing it only with an E, she tucked the note into her pocket, unsure what the next day would bring. At the shop, Luca appeared as if summoned by her secret, his hair tousled by the salty wind. "Can I steal 5 minutes of your morning?" he asked, holding up 2 cups of steaming coffee. They settled by the front window, watching gulls pick through puddles outside. The conversation slid easily, from favorite seaside memories to the small joys of town life. When Elena confessed she hadn't swum in the ocean since her childhood, Luca looked at her incredulously. "You live by the shore and never dive in? Elena, that's a crime!" She laughed. "I like the sound of the tide more than the chill of it." He grinned, mischievous. "I guess I'll have to change your mind." Midday, when Luca was deep in a stack of sheet music in the corner, Elena slipped her note behind the very book where she'd first found her admirer's words, "Wuthering Heights." She paused, breath held, then stepped away, heart fluttering with reckless anticipation. The day passed slowly. Every small noise made her glance, hopeful, at the shelves. Only at closing did she find another moonlit letter, pressed inside a dog-eared poetry collection. "My heart is already rewriting our story. Tell me, if I show myself, will you trust what you find?" Elena stared at the curling script, her heart aching with longing and fear. The answer rose quietly in her chest. She wanted to know. The moon was high above town that night, bathing the street in silver. Elena stood at her window, wondering who would reveal the next chapter. The stranger on the page, the musician in the shop, or perhaps both, tangled together by fate's gentle hand. Rain hammered the bay the next morning, the sea restless beyond the rain-blurred bookstore windows. Elena arrived with trembling anticipation. She scanned the shelves, but no new letters appeared. Was her reply too bold? Had she misread everything? Luca arrived later than usual, cheeks pink from the wind. "Rough weather out there," he said, shaking rainwater from his coat. He hesitated, then asked, "You look like you didn't sleep." Elena smiled sheepishly. "Storm kept me up." He set his guitar gently by the door. Sometimes stories keep us up more than storms. She almost told him about the letters, about her reply. Instead, she joined him, the hours passing quietly as thunder rolled outside. By late afternoon, business slowed to a drizzle. They sat together on the floor, sorting an old box of donated books. Among the dusty covers, Luca found a first edition of Persuasion. He held it out. "For you. New chapters, right?" Elena's heart raced. This book, a secret thread in her anonymous correspondence. Had Luca known? Their hands touched as she took it, electricity sparking in the quiet. After Luca left, a folded square of blue appeared atop the register. Elena's breath caught as she unfolded the latest letter. "You told the truth, Elena. I think I'm ready to do the same. Tomorrow evening, meet me where sea and moonlight meet. I promise you won't regret it." Uncertainty tangled with hope. Was it him? The same Luca who brought her coffee and croissants, who played sorrowful songs in her shop? Or was she risking her heart on a stranger's words? That night, as she stood on her doorstep under clearing skies, Elena realized there would be no turning back. Tomorrow, courage and fate would meet her at the water's edge. All she could do was let herself believe. The next evening, Crescent Bay shimmered beneath a restless moon. Elena's heart thudded as she made her way toward the rocky shore, where ocean and sky tangled in silver light. Every hesitant step felt like it pressed her secrets into the tide, inviting something new to sweep them away. A crescent of candles flickered near the water. Someone had come before her. She paused, breathless, scanning the darkness. Then she saw him, Luca, waiting, his guitar cradled in his lap and a familiar nervousness playing around his mouth. For a heartbeat, she just watched, her hands trembling as a new letter might in her grasp. Luca stood up as she approached. I started writing those letters the first night I came to your shop, he admitted, voice low and uncertain. I thought words would be easier than music. I never meant for it to go so far. Elena stared at him, her feelings swirling. The gentle vulnerability in his words fit perfectly with the secrets sewn into the letters. Why didn't you just tell me? He swallowed, looking up at the restless sky. Because I was scared. I'd lost everything before, and your shop, your company, it felt too precious to risk. But your replies, they gave me hope. She stepped closer, every inch between them crackling with possibility. Every letter made me feel less alone, even when I was terrified. I wanted to believe it was you. Luca's hand reached for hers. The contact shimmered in the moonlight, real, delicate, and true. I'm not perfect, Elena. I come with a mess, with music that's sometimes broken and a past that's hard to talk about. She smiled, the fear and hope within her balancing, finally, into trust. We're both messy, but maybe that's how the best stories start. He squeezed her hand, heart on his sleeve. There's one last letter, he murmured, but I want you to read it here, under the moon with me. As he offered her a final envelope, the waves breaking softly behind them, Elena realized every uncertainty had brought her here, brave and beautifully to an unwritten chapter. Elena stood with Luca in the hush of midnight, the world around them a tapestry of silver surf and trembling candlelight. Her pulse fluttered as she took the final envelope from his outstretched hand, the paper warmed by his touch. She broke the seal, her eyes scanning the inked lines, each word delicate with honesty and hope. I used to believe music could mend a broken heart, Luca's letter began, but it wasn't until I found you, your laughter in the quiet, your courage in the dark, that I understood how words could save us too. You made me brave enough to dream again. If you'd let me, I want to keep learning your story, one moonlit chapter at a time. Elena finished reading and looked up, tears bright in her eyes. For a moment, words faltered. Instead, she reached for Luca, her answer a silent yes, as she pressed her forehead to his, letting herself be held. You know I'm still afraid, right? She whispered, her voice uncertain but open. He smiled, brushing a stray tear from her cheek. I am too, but maybe we can be scared together. The wind tugged at her hair, wrapping them in its salty arms. Luca set down his guitar and began to play, a soft, hopeful tune that spun around them and into the night. Elena sat beside him in the sand, their shoulders touching, each note knitting together the pieces of their broken pasts. Above, the moon watched over them, as if blessing their new beginning. They talked for hours, about fears, about family, about dreams neither had dared to voice until now. The night was theirs, a bridge between anonymous letters and something real. When dawn painted the sky with pink and gold, Luca turned to Elena and asked, "What does the next chapter look like if we're writing it together?" Elena smiled softly, the possibilities reflecting in her eyes. "I think it starts right here. With you, with me, and 1,000 blank pages." Neither of them noticed the sunrise, too lost in stories yet to be written, too caught up in the gentle promise of a love neither had thought they'd find again. Elena felt different from the moment she unlocked her bookshop the next day. The salty air still drifted through the open windows, and the quiet street felt like it hummed with new purpose. She couldn't quite believe the change. A blooming warmth wound through her, as if every chapter of her life before had been leading to this, a future unwritten, bright with possibility and Luca's gentle presence. Luca arrived soon after, guitar case swinging at his side, eyes glinting with shy happiness. This time, Elena met him at the door. No more distances to bridge, no more unsaid things. "I brought coffee," he grinned, "and the beginnings of a song, if you want to hear it." "I always want to hear you play," Elena replied, voice smooth as sea glass. The world inside the shop was softer now. Even the regulars seemed to sense it, offering Elena knowing looks and warm, lingering hellos. They set up in the reading nook. As Luca sang, she let memories seep in. That first mysterious letter, the ache of loneliness, the hope waiting behind every moonlit message. It seemed impossible now to separate the notes from her heart. They fit together, each a lyric in a story only they could write. Afterwards, Elena reached for his hand. "I spent so long hiding," she confessed. "I almost missed you. The letters, they taught me how to open up again. I don't want to go back." Luca squeezed her hand. "You won't ever have to." "Not if I can help it." Still, not everything was easy. Past hurts flickered at the edges. Elena with her fear of loss, Luca with his memories of standing on dark stages alone. But every time doubt crept in, they found comfort in each other, in whispered reassurance, in the quiet ritual of tea at dusk, in Luca's steady rhythm as he played by the window, while Elena sorted books. One evening, as dusk painted the bay in gold, Mrs. Beasley paused at the counter with a conspiratorial smile. "You look different, Elena. Happy, if I may say." "Maybe for the first time," Elena admitted, squeezing Luca's hand beneath the counter. As the chapter of discovery faded into the golden heart of summer, the questions grew. Would the magic last? Could they weave a future from the fragments of their old lives? In the shops and along the wind-swept shore, the pair found themselves standing on the edge of something, not quite certain, but entirely theirs, for as long as they both chose to hold on. The final chapter promised more than an ending. It shimmered with the chance for a love that could truly last. The golden days of summer drifted into September, the sea air shifting from warm to crisp as change swept softly through Crescent Bay. Elena and Luca's world found a new, beautiful rhythm. Mornings spent over coffee and laughter, afternoons tucked between book stacks or scribbling new verses in Luca's worn music notebook. One particularly clear night, the whole town gathered at the beach for the annual Gulls and Stars Festival. Lanterns floated above the surf, and townsfolk sang beneath the moon. Elena and Luca stood hand in hand, the warm buzz of friends and strangers swirling around them. Elena felt as though she had finally stepped out of the shadows and into the open, her heart both light and full. Near midnight, with music and laughter fading behind them, Luca led her away from the crowd to the spot where they'd first truly seen each other. There, resting atop a smooth stone, was a letter, this one sealed with navy blue wax, Elena's own initials pressed into it. As she broke the seal, the world seemed to pause. Luca watched her, fingers trembling just a little. Elena read aloud, voice faltering only for a moment. "For every chapter you've let me read, for every part of your story you've shared, you've given me a place to belong. If you'll have me, I want every moonlit letter, every hopeful page, to be our story forever. She looked up, tears glistening, only to see him kneel before her, a silver ring in his hand catching the glow of the lanterns offshore. Say yes, Elena, to every page, to us. She dropped to her knees to meet him, laughter and tears tumbling together, unable to let go of his hands. Yes, she breathed, heart soaring with relief and happiness. Yes to every chapter. Cheers erupted behind them as their friends realized what was happening. Fireworks bloomed across the sky, the bay echoing a celebration as wild and beautiful as love itself. Luca slicked the ring on her finger, both of them lost in the joy, in the promise. As the night faded and dawn crept over the sea, Elena reflected on their journey, the pain of loneliness, the thrill of mystery, the power of vulnerability and trust. The bookshop, once her safe harbor, became something new, their shared beginning, a place where ordinary days were spun with wonder and kindness, and where every moonlit letter led her back to love. In the heart of Crescent Bay, two broken stories wove together, bound not by old fears, but by a love strong enough to fill a lifetime with unwritten chapters.